Everyone, back again here. I'm going to actually be going over classes. We're going to be knowing how to do variables in classes, how to store some data, how to do functions in classes, and how to make them public or private for those functions or variables so that we can't access them on the outside, along with how to define a function, how to define a class inside a variable after we already defined the class. So, starting off here, I'm going to actually start with a new document. This is going to be basic state since it's the sixth part of my tutorials here for you. And we're going to start off with the normal PHP tags. Now, since we're defining a class, we had to say we're defining a class. So we're going to type class. Now we need to name this class. This class is going to be tutorial. Doop. And then now I'm going to do a left curly bracket and a right curly bracket here. So within the space of the two curly brackets is where we define our variables and functions. So we're going to define our first variable. Now, this is kind of a basic thing, so I'm going to actually type public in front. This means it's going to be accessible on the outside, so I can call it later. I'm going to make it public is this visible. Yep, that's all I'm doing. I'm not defining a variable for this. I'm going to actually, yeah. I'm going to actually define a variable for this. It's going to be, we're just going to say, yes, I am. Now, what I just did here is define a normal variable. So, you know, the variable call equals to whatever it's going to be equal to. In this case, I'm doing a string. And then I set public in front. Public in front just means it's going to be public or visible after I define my class. So when I set my class inside another variable or define it within a variable, so the variable can be the reference point or the point of origin of where we're going to call everything, it will be visible. And let's define something else here. We'll go private this time. Is visible is what I'm designing this one. And go should not be. Alright, so what we just did is define our variables here inside our class. These are not visible on the outside at all, and they're not going to be able to be called. So if I go down here and go echo, is this, see how it's not popping up in my thing? That's because it's not actually defined outside. Is this visible? So let's go here real quick. Click refresh. Basic 6. Doo-doo. Nothing. So nothing was visible. And actually, I should probably be getting an error log off that since that variable is not defined. So this is not visible because it's inside the class here. So we can actually ignore that and delete it. Just kind of want to show you that. Now we're just going to find a function here. Now there's multiple ways you can do functions. I'm only going to show you public and private for right now. There's also static and abstract classes and also later on. But right now it's going to be a public and private to show you how they work and how they function. So function, we're going to go public function. So we need to define a function. We're just going to name this get variable or get number. We'll just name it get number, and we don't care what the number, what it inputs. We're just going to go get number, and it's going to go return this return random, and let's just go number 1 through 10, just to make a basic function here. And then we're just going to go one more time. A private function get second number. We'll make this a bigger one. Actually, we'll make this have variables in it because we'll actually use this later on. Min is going to equal to 0. And max is going to equal to 25. And then we'll just do a random here. Return random. Min, max, there we go. Okay, so what we just did now is define two variables, public and a private. We also defined another function, two functions actually, a public and a private function, just like our variables inside the class tutorial. Now the question is going to be going around is, how do you pull out this class? How do you use this class? Well, that's actually pretty simple. We're just going to call a variable. Tutorials, we're just going to name it tutorials, is equal to new tutorial. Oops. Just give me a second here. Computer's not liking me. Tutorial. And then we're done. We had to make sure you set your parentheses around just to define that variable, because you can actually make a class which it has a construct in it. And I'll go into more detail on that a little bit later or in another tutorial depending on how long this takes. But it allows you to set variables that's into it. But in this case, we have nothing, so we're just going to go new tutorial, parentheses. Now, Just because I called it doesn't mean it's not doing anything. So if I go refresh, we still got nothing. Now, since we have tutorials, we can actually try calling the stuff that's in it. So we're going to go echo. We're going to go tutorials. Now I have this arrow pointing. This is because this is saying I want to call something from within this variable. And this variable is a class now, since we defined it as a class for tutorial. So we're going to call the things that are public. As you can see, I only have two options. Get number and is this visible. Those are the only thing that are public for anything outside of the class. And since it's outside of the class, I can do a get number. It should run that function. Let me just make a little spacer here. And let's do it again. Echo tutorials. And we're going to get is this visible. So as you can tell in my little drop down here, it actually defines if it's a function or a variable by adding instant parentheses behind it or not. Depending on how you set up, you don't always have to add the parentheses, but if you want to make sure you can keep defined between the two, that's probably the best way to go. So if we go there, we're going to click refresh here. So 0 is what I got, and yes I am. So yes I am is from the is visible, as we can see, it's the second call I do, and 0 is from the random here, get number random 0 through 10. So if I refresh, I got another random number. Now I have these private. So what happens if I try to call a private here? Let's just do a BR, and I didn't copy that right. So let's just, all right. So we got get number. Let's go second. So right now I'm going to try to call the second function I built, the private. I go refresh here. Boom. Fail error. Called a private method. This private method means I can't access it from outside. So how would I access it if I made it private? Why would it be private? Say if it's something like you need to send to the database, or it does processing that shouldn't be visible to the user, or anything that somebody tries to break your script on. Best way to go is private. You call it from another function, which then it allows that to run. So how would I make that run? So let's make another function here. We're going to name this public. So we're going to go public function get me 2 numbers. Yes, I'm making these really simple here. Now, this is a little bit different method. Is you can use a this. Depending on your class size, you might have to call the class name, or you might have to call the parent if you extend it. And I'll go into more detail on that. But the first thing that we're going to be doing is this. That means it's going to be calling itself. Now, how am I going to do that? I'm going to go echo. I'm going to go this. So it's going to be itself. Arrow key. Now, I'm calling from within it, so now I have more options than I did whenever I was calling from outside. And we're going to call get second number here. We're just going to go, what I'm doing, minimum of 10, maximum 25. And I said it has 2 numbers, so I need to go and set another number here. Oops. As you can see, I said an echo here. If I said an echo here, it means it ain't going to return it. It's just going to output it. Unlike doing a return here. And I need to actually change that to a return, because I like to pull back my values before I output them to everybody. And we're just going to do the same functions. There we go. So we knew this didn't work here. So we're going to go and change this to get me 2 numbers. Click save. Refresh. Boom. I got 12 and 12. Refresh again. 11 and 10. It's kind of rare on the first time I got 2 of the same number, but random isn't really random on a computer, but it's more random than a normal person would think out or process instantly usually. So if I click refresh again, 11 and 23. So what I did is I actually called from a secondary function I called the private function. That's another way how you store variables. Instead of someone having direct access to one of your variables here, you would make another function that would allow it to input it and set it. So let's go here, make another public function here, because I want to actually be able to get is visible, which is not visible because it's private. I would like to be able to call it. So we're going to name this is visible. It's public now. And we're going to go text equal nothing. So the reason why I always said equals after is because I'm not going to require it, but I want data in it. If nobody inputs any data, you throw an error. And then it's because you didn't define a variable or send a variable with the function that you called. So that's why I always said an equal to false or true or an integer or something of the sort that I know that I can reference and do a check off of. Usually true and false is the best way to go. So we're going to go here. We're going to go, well, we're going to scrub it. is numeric. If is numeric, and we're going to go text. So I don't want my text numeric. It's supposed to be text, right? And this is another function here. It's a check see if a variable is a number or anything for you. Oh, if it is numeric, return error, not numeric, or not text. And else, this is just a simple check, so nobody has direct access to the variable. We'll go actually else if. We'll make it where this can have two abilities. To be able to get it and to be able to paste it. Or to get it or set it. How about that? My bad. I'm going to go text equal false. So since I'm going to be doing that, I'm going to actually change this to not empty like how it is. I'm going to actually change this to false. So if it is false, we're just going to return that value. Return is visible. Now, as you can tell, I didn't get my dropdown. That's because is visible I can't just call. I'm inside a function. You can't call something unless I do a global. And I can't do a global since I'm inside of a class in this case. You can do a global for anything outside of the class, but you can't do it for the variables inside the class. So this is when this comes into play. So this is equal to is visible. See, right there. And as you can tell, it shows two functions here. It shows the variable, which is my green, and then it shows the function, which is the orange kind of red block looking thing. We're just going to make sure that's selected, and I accidentally doubled that. And then finally, else, if none of those are ever said, we have something back. We're going to go this, and we're going to go is visible is equal to text. Now, why did I have to use this for that? That's the same reason. It's just a function. And should I return something? Probably a good reference to know that I said that, right? Return, we're just going to go return true. Alright, so let's use that function here real quick. We'll go echo tutorial. And is visible is what we're going for, right? It is visible. And let's just leave it blank real quick. So this is when it's empty. Okay. Refresh. 1. I got a 1 back. Why did I get a 1 back? Just why? Why did I get a 1 back? Well, why did I get a 1 back? Oh, aha. This is my bad coding here. In this case, I forgot to set a double equal. Since I did not set a double equal, it didn't do a full check on it. So it instantly went down to this step instead of doing this step. Let's refresh this. Refresh. There we go. Should not be. So as you can tell, I even made an error. I forgot to do a double equal. I thought I did. My bad. But that double equal makes a big difference because it set the variable that time instead of actually pulling the variable. And as you saw, I got a 1 back. That's because true. I'm trying to convert true, which is a balloon, in this case, which is 1 or 0. If I choose false, it's a 0. I'm trying to convert a balloon, boolean into a string. So what it converted to is a 1. And that's why I got back the 1. Now what happens if I try to set in some variables here? Let's go my numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. Refresh. Error, not text. Okay, so we got my first error. Now what happens if I set text into it? Ha ha ha. Refresh. 1. So I get back to my true. That returned. Now, okay, we're going to go and set it. Now, does the variable stay as we go through? Yes, it does. And I'm going to actually show you how that works. We're going to go and duplicate this a couple of times. Doop, 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 doop. Right. So we're going to go here. We're going to leave that blank so we get the first statement. We're going to get whatever it's default defined to. Then we're going to try to do ha ha ha. Then we're going to try to do numbers. And then we're just going to try to get the variable back, see if it changed it or anything on us. Okay. And let's just add a spacer here. So h1 variable check. h1. All right. So refresh. Boom. Okay. So we have my variable check. Let me pop that up. Variable check. Should not be. That's the first variable. That's what I called. Just wanted to know what that variable was from that function. Next, I defined it. Ha 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 ha. I got 1 back since that's using a boolean. So, came back true. I got a 1. Error not text. That's because I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, da 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 da. And then finally I did is visible again. Ha ha ha. So that proves that even though it messed up on is numeric, because I got 1, 1, 1, 2, da da da, try to send a number to it, it didn't change the value. And that's kind of what you want. You want to have a check before something changes your values. Now I can go and change all day the value is visible here. I can go is visible, I echoed it, and then I can go is visible is equal to Timmy. I go is visible is equal to Timmy, and we're just going to echo is visible again here after that. I have no checks on this, so I can change it to anything I want. And that's really bad because you can break your system that way. So the variable for is this visible used to be yes I am. Yes I am. And then I defined it as Timmy. As you can see here, I called the variable that was storing the class, and then I called the variable inside that class, which is this visible, and then I made it equal to Timmy. So I'm redefining that variable without having to go through a function. In this case, this is open, so I can change it to whatever I want, and I can break it. That's not always a good thing to do. That's kind of why I kind of showed you the hidden private variable. And then I finally output it, and it gave me back Timmy. So I lost yes I am and got Timmy out of that. So that's the simple features of private and public and how to build a little bit of a basic class. I will go into more detail into that on the next tutorial. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. I'll go on construct and destruct, and you'll understand kind of the functionality of that and why you would pass that. If there's any questions, leave a like, comment down below, or message me, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a comment or like below. If you want to keep up with all activities on the channel, click subscribe. And if you would like to watch another video, there's some videos listed down below here. And thanks for watching.